Welcome back to Hope's Homemade Kitchen. Today I'm making a decadent but easy dessert, a Mississippi mud pie. Now Mississippi mud pies, there are many different recipes out there, but I'm using a graham cracker crust with pudding, cream cheese, and a Cool Whip topping. So let's get started and I'll show you all the ingredients. The ingredients for the Mississippi mud pie are sugar, butter, graham crackers, butterscotch pudding, the instant kind, chocolate pudding, the instant kind, these are the small packages, milk. I'm using a little whipping cream with my fat-free milk, but if you have regular milk, you probably don't need the whipping cream. I'm using cream cheese, Cool Whip, and a dark chocolate bar to grate on top of the finished dessert. Okay, first we're going to make our crust. I melted 1 stick of butter in the microwave. I'm going to pour that into the bottom of a 13 by 9 inch baking dish. And then I will need, now the graham crackers come in packages like this, and there's about 8 in each package. I need 12, so about a package and a half to make 2 cups of graham cracker crumbs. You can chop these up, put them in a bag and use a rolling pin like I'm doing, or you could use a food processor. This is the way I usually do it, so I don't have to mess up a food processor too. Okay, so that was a package and a half of graham crackers. I'm going to spread that over the butter. I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. Now you don't have to use this much. Actually, I'm only going to do about 1/8 of a cup. So you'll want to mix that up very well. Now Mississippi mud pies, there's so many different recipes for it. This is just the icebox no-bake kind that uses a graham cracker crust. You may have also seen recipes that uses like a flour crust with pecans that you bake, or maybe you've seen it with a brownie crust as well, that's also baked. This is a no-bake version. Once we get this mixed up, we'll form it to the pan with the bottom of a cup, and then we'll put it in the freezer to set for a few minutes while we make our other filling. So that I'm just going through and tamping it down with the bottom of the measuring cup just to give it a little bit of structure. Okay, I'm going to set that in the freezer and let it set for a little bit, and we'll make our filling. Okay, the next is our cream cheese layer. So we'll mix cream cheese, sugar, and Cool Whip together, and this forms a cream cheese layer that goes right on top of the graham cracker crust and helps provide a little bit of a barrier. So when we put the pudding layer on, the pudding doesn't get the crust all mushy. So my Cool Whip container is 16 ounces. We really only need 12 ounces for this recipe. So half of the 12 ounces. So you'll need about 6 ounces, 8 ounces of cream cheese. And it's ideal if it's been softened a little bit. You'll need a 1/2 cup of sugar. So we'll mix that until it's well blended together. Okay, so that's going to be kind of a thick layer of cream cheese. Now it's sweetened with a 1/2 cup of sugar and the Cool Whip Just helps with the texture. Okay, so the graham cracker crust was in the freezer for about 5 minutes. I'm going to get an offset spatula to help spread it, to help spread the mixture. I like to dab just little spoonfuls and then use your offset spatula to spread it evenly. You could use a spoon, anything that works for you, a knife, and try to get it to where none of the crust is showing. So that just provides a little barrier for your dessert, and the crust will stay crunchier. Okay, I'm going to set that back in the freezer for a few minutes just until I whip up my pudding. Okay, next I'm going to be mixing up one 3.4 ounce container of instant butterscotch pudding and one 3.9 ounce container of instant chocolate pudding. I'm not following the instructions on the package. I'm combining these two together in my mixing bowl and adding 3 cups of milk. So I mentioned before that I have fat-free milk. I like for it to be a little bit richer so it's not as runny. So I'm going to put in 2.5 cups of skim milk with 1/2 cup of heavy cream to bring it to 3 cups. And I add my pudding, chocolate instant pudding, and the butterscotch instant pudding. You ask why butterscotch? I don't know. It's what we usually make and it tastes really good. You could use 2 chocolate, you could use a chocolate and vanilla, you know, whatever flavor combinations you like, but this one really is good to us. So I'm just going to blend it with the hand mixer until it's very well blended. Okay, that looks pretty well blended. You just want to get all the lumps out of it. Make sure you don't see any of the actual mix in there. Okay, that already looks pretty set. Okay, the pudding is really already set, so I'm going to go ahead and dab it on there. This dessert is really good to take to a family event. You're not gonna have any leftovers if you take it to an event like that. So now you'll keep this in the refrigerator, not the freezer. I was just putting it in the freezer just to get it set, those bottom layers set. Now you want to put the remainder. This is a larger container than what the recipe actually calls for, so I'll just do most of it in there and leave about 4 ounces. And you could probably do your own whipped topping. It would be fine. I just find it easier with all of these pre-made. It just makes for a quicker dessert. Okay, the last step is just to take like a chocolate bar, just take my box grater and just do like a little sprinkle design on it. Another thing you can do too is just you could have a vegetable peeler, just do that. That gives you little tiny curls of the chocolate. Okay, now that is done. Before you cut into it, you probably just want to set it in the refrigerator for a little bit, let it set even more, and then you can cut and enjoy. All right, let's give it a taste test. Beautiful layers. So very creamy, delicious. That bottom layer is a little crunchy, and the two kinds of pudding, very, very good. Thanks so much for joining me today on Hope's Homemade Kitchen. I hope you enjoyed making Mississippi mud pie with me. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'd love to have you back each week for step-by-step recipes, comfort foods, meal prep items, and desserts like today. We'll see you next time.